Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are unpacking some truly fascinating source material that is going to take us on a pretty wild journey straight into the metaphysical. We're exploring a concept that actually bridges ancient mysticism with modern physics. We're talking about the Rosey Cross, but not just as a piece of history. We're looking at it as a universal coordinate system. This isn't just about symbols, guys. It's literally about the proposed architecture of reality itself.
So, I want you to start by asking yourself a pretty profound question. Are you living your life on the horizontal plane of matter or the vertical line of spirit? Seriously, think about it. Which of these metaphysical axes governs your daily life, your reactions, and the decisions you make? Keep that question in the back of your mind as we map out this cosmic intersection together.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to hit the cosmic crossroads, look at the vertical plasma axis, the horizontal material plane, unpack propaganda and fear entrainment, analyze the demiurgic deal, and then wrap up with the blooming rose. Let's get to it. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the cosmic crossroads. Now, when most of us talk about the cross, we instantly think of it purely as a religious symbol, right? But in the material we're analyzing today, the cross is proposed as a literal structural geometry of existence. It's a cosmic map where pure energy and dense matter intersect. If you dig into historical texts, especially those tracing back to Sir Francis Bacon and the Rosicrucians, the Rosey Cross holds very specific geometric meaning. The upright beam is essentially the symbol of life. It is this vertical axis of pure, uncorrupted life force and consciousness. The crossbar, on the other hand, well, that represents death, or the dense material horizontal plane. What we're looking at here is a deep structural tension between the organic architecture of the divine and the artificial overlays of the physical world. So let's explore this y-axis of the cosmic map in Section 2. What exactly is this vertical plasma axis, this spiritual stream? To really understand the vertical, our sources point us straight to plasma. Most scientists agree that plasma is the fourth state of matter, and it makes up, well, maybe 99.8% of the observable universe. But it goes way beyond just ionized gas. Physicists have actually observed that under the right conditions, dust particles in plasma can spontaneously form self-organizing helical structures. It's basically plasma DNA, and it's completely governed by the golden ratio. In this cosmology, plasma is acting as this divine, highly intelligent fluid that bridges infinite, unmanifest spirit right into physical form.
You know, ancient mystics intuitively completely understood this. Just look at the Kabbalistic tree of life. In this context, it acts as a quantum schematic. It's literally a wiring diagram for the soul. High-frequency plasma consciousness from source enters that vertical axis. Then, the 10 Sephirot, the nodes, act as step-down transformers. They filter and down-tune that infinite signal so that this intense, high-frequency plasma can actually inhabit a low-frequency carbon-based flesh vessel without, completely short-circuiting the hardware. It is just a brilliant hardware upgrade analogy for how human consciousness interfaces with reality.
And this vertical axis is entirely non-local. There's this amazing point from researcher Ron Jones, where he notes that the universe as a whole has a wave function. He even throws out this idea, if there is a God, then God has a wave function. On this vertical axis, consciousness can instantaneously affect distant particles. No lag, no delay, it's a line of pure ontological reality connecting your core straight to the cosmos.
But as we all know, we don't just float around in pure, infinite plasma. We exist in a very dense physical reality. And that brings us to Section 3, the x-axis of our cosmic cross, the horizontal material plane.
Now, what's really interesting about this next concept is the number 1/137. In physics, this is known as the fine structure constant. Metaphysically speaking, our sources frame this as the literal coupling constant of the material matrix. Think about it. While the vertical axis is governed by the expansive, natural flow of the golden ratio, this horizontal constant forces all that raw radiant plasma into restrictive, incredibly dense atomic forms. It is what ensures the horizontal plane has solidity, friction, and linear time. The contrast between the two is just stark. The vertical axis is fluid, instantaneous, it's divine plasma. The horizontal axis, totally governed by that fine structure constant, is the realm of linear time. It's geometric restriction, metes and bounds, contracts, commerce. Essentially, you can think of the horizontal plane as a frozen irrigation system that was built to capture, contain, and trade the raw energy that naturally flows down the vertical.
So, a huge question pops up here.
If we have this direct, instantaneous connection to infinite plasma, why do so many people feel completely stuck? Well, that leads us to Section 4, Propaganda and Fear Entrainment.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how it happens. Consciousness is often forcefully kept locked onto the horizontal plane through this cycle called the vibrational capture loop. Let's walk through it. First, the broadcast system emits constant frequencies of fear. Second, the ego, our individual mask, receives this fear and instantly feels vulnerable. Third, administrative systems or governments step in and offer security through a legal identity. And finally, by accepting this, the living consciousness gets down-tuned. It gets trapped in this administrative loop of constant reaction, effectively severing its attention from that liberating vertical axis.
We can actually see this perfectly mapped out in Dr. David R. Hawkins' Map of Consciousness. Mass media broadcasting often keeps the ego trapped down below level 100, which is basically constantly reacting in a state of sheer fear. Down there, you are entirely focused on the horizontal. It's a trap. It's only by reaching courage at level 200 and then reason at 400 that you finally start to see the logical fallacies of this horizontal spell. And once you do that, it allows you to move up into love and peace, ascending the vertical axis and restoring your natural entanglement with Source.
This deep structural tension we're talking about gives a whole new meaning to Section 5, the demiurgic deal. This is the ultimate crossroads.
You know that ancient folklore concept of making a deal at the crossroads? Well, look at it through this lens. The crossroads is the exact coordinate where your eternal consciousness intersects with linear time and dense matter. Right here, you have an architectural choice. One path is the demiurgic deal. This means optimizing for the horizontal, trading your vertical autonomy for wealth, security, or fame. You essentially agree to become a battery for the material simulation. The other path is the spiritual urge. This means aligning with the vertical, rejecting those matrix contracts, and acting as a pure, unfiltered conduit for source plasma. We are looking at these completely impartially, just as fundamental energetic transactions with reality. The sources point out something crucial. The horizontal actively resists what it cannot quantify or tax. It wants structure. So, to choose the vertical is to practice what Dr. Hawkins calls devotional non-duality and radical surrender. It literally means letting go of the ego's attachments and the fears that are constantly, relentlessly triggered by the horizontal machine.
Which brings us to our final section for today, the blooming rose. Where exactly do you fit into this grand cosmic architecture?
So the crucial point is this. The cross itself, governed by that fine structure constant, is the rigid, static geometry of the material matrix. It's fixed. But right at the dead center intersection of those two lines sits the rose. And guys, the rose is you. You are the living observer right at the coordinate where the golden ratio of divine plasma physically meets the rigid geometry of the material world. You are literally the rose blooming in this immense tension. So I leave you with this final thought. Knowing the mechanics of fear programming, knowing how the horizontal tries to trap you, will you answer that spiritual urge and allow your inner rose to bloom? Or will you take the demiurgic deal and remain trapped in the horizontal machine? The choice of which axis you walk is entirely up to you. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning and stay curious.